stringer. Look at these two men. One's a grandfather. The other one's a minister. Guess what? When they were younger, they were pimps. They drove fancy cars, wore expensive jewelry. They also beat the women who worked for them and kept all the money for themselves. Please meet former pimp Stacy Allen Smith, also known as Pimping Bilbo, and Bishop Magic Wand, who is now a pastor of a church. First things first, tell me, and for our audience, what is a pimp? What does he do?
Well, my job as a pimp was to be considered the female everything. You know, most of the time, young ladies that are looking for love, they're looking for somebody that's concerned about them to be able to take care of them. And this is what a pimp do. He uses women on the street so that they can fulfill his needs materially and however he wanted, you know, their desire to be. Bilbo, he understands because when I first became the #1 pimp in Chicago, he was one of the presenters at the Pimp of the Year ball, and he presented me with the award.
Now, pimp, bear with me. I'm trying to be objective here. What do you mean, pimp of the year? This is...
Well, see, this is an annual thing that takes place within the inner city, within the pimp, the players, the
So
hustlers.
within the community, it's recognized. Okay, let's get back to what the pimp does now. As I understand it then, you have a stable of women, okay? These women are prostitutes. You send these women out to hotels, on the streets, wherever you send them. They perform their acts of prostitution. They get the money, and they come back to you, and you take all their money. In exchange for what?
Well, exchange for being their everything, fulfilling their every desire, fulfilling the needs in their life. I mean, what a pimp do is, a pimp is the overseer of the female. I mean, she's there to fulfill his needs and do his business.
What does she do for you?
Stand on the corner, sell her body so that I could receive the finances to do whatever it is that I wanted to do. This was my job as a pimp, you know, to receive her money. And her job was to stand on the corner and fulfill my desire by getting the money and bringing it home to me.
Does any of this strike you as wrong? There's something when your judgment day comes that all of a sudden someone's going to look at you and say, you know what, that wasn't the best thing to do on earth to make a living.
I'm wearing these dark glasses, not because I'm ashamed of me. I'm 67 years old. But my version of it is, I see a lot of people out there old enough to realize the original Coca-Cola ball, the little small one. To me, that was the best. So as the generation passed on, different things. Now, my version of a pimp is altogether different. To me, a pimpin' is a person who teaches, brings the best out in the worst of female and teach her that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
What are you teaching them with all due respect? You're teaching a woman to go out and sell her body and give me your money?
Mr. Jerry, you elevate. That's the grammar school basis where I'm concerned. You don't give away nothing that's good enough to sell. She hungry, she ain't got nothing, so make one step, grammar school, kindergarten, step up, let me elevate you into something else. Every woman I ever had is living in the suburbs now.
Okay, so you're taking women that are stone broke, they're down on their luck, they have nothing.
Well, more or less to motivate them. You know, women's already out that be involved in different sexual activities, so now they're getting paid for. He'll motivate them to know to get paid for.
You say you care for these women, do you beat them?
But you can't stop
You've hit women, haven't you? You hit your women, don't you?
Only to shock them back to reality. You know?
Anything goes when it comes to hoes because pimping ain't easy. Pimping ain't easy. Yo, how many of y'all actually listened to what they were saying? And I know the audience is shocked because they were pimps. But what they weren't paying attention to is the fact that the pimp and the pastor are the same thing. That is why one of them, Bishop Don Juan, easily converted over to becoming a pastor, now bishop. I don't know if he still is. Because the game is exactly the same thing. Just being able to do it to people who aren't selling their bodies for sex, but selling their bodies for their employee, as an employee, and still bringing him the money. Walk down this trail with me for just a second. These men basically said that the job of the pimp was to find women who were down on their luck, who weren't able to feed themselves, who were struggling. In the same way the church finds people who are struggling. Then they will promise them this better life. They will promise them this light at the end of the tunnel, this light at the end of the day, as a pastor promises you a light at the end of your suffering. But in order for you to receive that light, what is the one thing they consistently ask for every month, every day, every week? They ask for your money. So the money you go out and earn, they want you to bring that money to them. Bring all your earnings to the storehouse. Give to the church. Will a man rob God? That he has robbed me. Abraham gave Melchizedek 1/10 of all that he received when he conquered Sodom. That is exactly what the pimp does. That is exactly what the pastor does when he tells the congregation to sow that uncommon seed. That you got to show your loyalty to God so that God can bless you, so that God will allow for your name to be written in this book of life by giving us your money. And then just like the pimp goes and lives a lavish life based on what his ladies of the night have brought to him, so does the pastor do with the money that you bring to the church. You got pastors buying jets. You got pastors living in mansions. You got pastors wearing the best clothes, having the finest things of life, while the people in the congregation are barely getting by, but are focused on the hype of the pastor. He said the pimp's job is to supply all their needs and lead them and motivate them in the same way that the pastor is supposed to be the center of your life. Now, he's supposed to be the center teacher of your life, not the center of your life. But we know people make the pastor the center of their lives. Don't speak ill against the man, but against the man of God. That you'll be cursed for speaking ill against the man of God. In the same way these pimps do. And then when he said that the pimp had to slap her back into reality, the same way the pastor had to slap you with the Holy Spirit, knock you off your feet, bending hands, swinging the jacket, laying hands on you, knocking you over, so that you will be slapped into the reality of the Holy Spirit encompassing your body and your mind and leading you to the glory of God. And then all the while, sowing those seeds of your hard-earned finances. Not sowing your seed of your finances to help the homeless, not sowing your seed of your finances to help the children, to help the widows and the orphans. No, not them, but to provide this lavish lifestyle for the pastor. All these pimps have realized is that pastoring is the same game. And I know personally of some drug dealing, pimping jokers who I went to school with, who are now pastors, who are playing the exact same game they played as drug dealers and pimps in order to get people's money that way, but have recognized that pastoring is the same game. If you don't recognize this, then you are just the sheep going to the slaughter. You are just the ladies of the night who are who are being pimped by their master. Pimping and pastoring, it's the same damn thing. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. Subscribe to the channel. Always remember that you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. Anything goes in the congregation, cause pastoring ain't easy. Pastoring ain't easy. Pastoring ain't easy.